inevitably, whenever I spend any time with my Java friends, they start ranting and raving about how on earth I can program in Node. How on earth I can write stuff in enterprise environments without having loads of levels of abstraction, loads of interfaces, loads of abstract classes that have been implemented in no less than a dozen ways. And how on earth, how it is possible for me to write using a text editor or Sublime or just something that small, how I can't use like an IDE that's got decades of development into it and lots of, the things that Java IDEs have. And what I like to tell them now is that enterprise Java is basically just like ditch digging. And all an IDE is a shovel to help make it feel like it's not so bad, because it's really, really rubbish. Going into places, you'll see loads. I'm sure there's loads of folks that have seen it, and for those that haven't, you've got like tens of thousands of lines of code in certain areas, and deploy processes that can actually take an entire day, and just projects that create these giant war files that are just horrible. It's very sad, and don't do Java, kids. So what ended up happening is I went to Walmart, and Walmart has one of these environments. There's a giant.com site that does loads and loads of e-commerce business, and it's powered by one of these dinosaurs. There's loads of different departments, items for searching, items for purchasing, items in different everything's store localized. So there's just loads and loads of services that tie into supply chain management, and loads of there's pharmacy and photo services, and loads of third-party services. So there are within the Walmart site, there's hundreds of these endpoints that are providing services for the website, and Walmart made a mobile application that's just as lovely as you can imagine based on my description, and of the .com site, and they brought in a whole bunch of people to redo how it was done, and they brought in Ben Galbraith and Dion Almer, and they revolutionized the iOS devices and Android, and then they brought in Aaron Hammer and a team of folks to completely redo the services in Node. And so we're going to get technical, and so now my drawings are in graph paper, so that's technical. But it's so this is a I'm going to give you a diagram of what the mobile site looks like. So first, we've got that layer that I was telling you about before, and these are all services. These are all services that are provided by .com. Most of them, the best of them, are really poorly written SOAP services that are 5 years old. And we're pulling, once again, across hundreds of endpoints. And what you want to do when you're creating a mobile application is you want to, especially with all the data that they're transferring for .com, you've got just there's way too much information. So what you want to do is you want to target that information for a mobile device. You're working on a horrible network, so you want to just y'all know the routine. You want to make sure that they're getting only the information that they need, and they're getting it quickly. So their way to do that was to create a RESTful layer on top of that in a Java web framework called Wicket. So that's the Walmart's mobile layer, and Wicket, the best so far the best thing that Wicket has provided is that drawing is that's the best thing that it's provided. The RESTful URLs would look, you'd go to mobile.walmart.com/m/j, and then starts the query string, so it's RESTful. Service equals Java name, like Java class name, and then and method equals the Java method that's going to be called, and P0 equals P0 through P9. I know, I'm sorry. Well, the reason that starts with the second method parameter, because all of the methods in Java are void. So if you actually try and see what's returned, like if you're actually looking at this horrible chimera of nastiness, then you can't even tell what the methods are returning. It's just horrible. So enter the Node team and what we're doing. And so the plan that Aaron came up with to address this was, because there are millions and millions and millions of users of the Walmart mobile stuff. So we, in order to preserve the legacy things, we decided that we would put a Node layer up on top of everything that would be able to get Node into production for us, and it would be able to get the latency. Ultimately, the latency that it added once we had it in production and running was, between 4 to 6 milliseconds, which isn't much considering we were now getting lots of analytics data and other data from this layer. But the problems that we had to address when we were going in there were just like any other enterprise problems. The best part, though, is that we got to solve them. We got to solve them using Node, which is great. This is a great thing, because when you're working with most of the other enterprise stacks, all of the problems are already solved for you. So you're really just shoehorning these giant frameworks across loads of different types of technology, shoehorning them into something, and writing your code so that it will, writing lots and lots of code, and lots of XML, and lots of long, lonely nights. But it's really, really horrible. Anyway, the three things that we really wanted to focus on when we were there, building this new framework, is that for development at Walmart, was we wanted to focus on distribution, because I mentioned there's loads of teams, and we would still need to be working with those teams, and a lot of those teams would be working on things within Walmart. So we wanted to build something that's really able to be worked on in a distributed fashion. We also wanted, it's going to be clustered, so we had to worry about, we had all the other technical things that we had to keep in mind too when you're addressing enterprise problems. But so distribution was one. Second was ease of deployment. There are loads and loads of rad platforms which you can deploy Node applications to in clouds, and as is or out in outer space. And as is usually the case, there's well, I don't know if it's usually the case, but quite often in the enterprise environments I've been in, there's either some type of info security or ops dudes that are like, yeah, man, we can't deploy outside of our internal network. So I think there's been some fun conversations with folks about virtualization where we have a guy. Well, anyway, regardless, we don't do, for our production environment, we don't do any virtualization. There's basically just targeted boxes that we're deploying to, and it's not us we have to worry on an ops team that's preventing us from doing virtualization. So we need to make this dead simple, right? We need to have deployment that is really, really simple to use. And the other thing we wanted to worry about was testing. Obviously, testing is a good thing to have. If you have a series of tests that provide confidence in a specific product that you have, then you can work towards things like continuous deployment or just having confidence that your stuff is working. So our answer to all of this was Hapi. Aaron created Hapi. He started it at Yahoo and then continued it once he got to Walmart. And what Hapi does is it's a thing for making web applications and service APIs that abstracts the core Node HTTP API so that folks can focus on writing business logic in their endpoints. And it provides a whole lot. But also, I'm going to refer folks to a talk that Aaron gave at PayPal that gives a great introduction to Hapi. I'm actually going to focus on something that developed because of those three things I was talking about, which is the Hapi plugin architecture. What the Hapi plugin architecture does for us is, let's see. Okay, yeah. See, I need to describe this. This is a narwhal, and I drew it like this so I could screen cap some code and throw it in there. So this was going to be a code narwhal. And then this was going to be a unicorn throwing up on more code. But the screen caps going into them, it looked bad. So I want you to see these. I want you to see them, but we're not going to use them. So here, like in Hapi, so I said before that Hapi provides an abstraction over the core HTTP stuff. So what I'm doing here, this is something very similar to what we have set up at Walmart. Like we take requests over. We're not just taking requests over port 80. We've got different stuff that's going through port 80, stuff going through port 43, and then inside, internally, we've got admin consoles also, so that we can update specific types of information, like taxonomy, when you're navigating item trees or going through looking at categories and everything. So we've got internal consoles that we use to do that, and different types of authentication that we use when we're doing that, whereas the external HTTPS stuff handles that. So what's happening here is there's the idea of a pack. So once you create Hapi, you can create this pack, and you can add servers to the pack. And all that's going to do is add a whole bunch of HTTP servers, or whatever when you set up all of the just depending on what you need. And then you create them and you add labels to them. And this is important because later, the plugins that you're creating, right around line 12, the HTTPS plugin, each plugin implements a register method. And the method register goes ahead and takes from the pack, and you select which servers that you want to add to. So if you're adding a whole bunch of stuff to a whole bunch of different servers that might be like endpoints that are available on HTTP or HTTPS, you can add those, and it's not a big deal. You can add them to all of them. So that's what I'm doing here. Like I'm adding the super secret secure stuff. I didn't add any of the route stuff in there. And then on the normal one, we're adding it to secure, adds it to this HTTPS one that's on secure, and then adding it to API, adds it to both of them, because it's just like a little tagging thing. And then once you've created your plugins, you can register them down here. And we thought that was okay, and that was good steps, because each of these plugins, I've got them defined here, but mostly what the plugins are just Node package modules. So all of these are residing. Currently, we're working on getting our internal NPM repository set up. So once we have that, then we'll be publishing to an internal NPM, and instead of having them defined here in like some type of central app, we will be having them pulled in based on normal NPM rules. That's all plugins are, is just a module. And you define all of your endpoints in the module. You define any APIs that'll be available, that you can make available through Hapi in the module. And you can enforce all, just through NPM. Hapi uses NPM when it loads them also. And through NPM, you can enforce all of your relational dependencies, peer dependencies, and you obviously, y'all know the routine on this. It's the standard tool, and that's the standard tool that we use to make it. But based on deployment, we added the ability to not have a full app like this. We made it so that you can actually define all of this stuff in a config.json. So the same thing, this is the exact same thing, except now it's just a configuration. And quite often, you're going to have lots of things that need to be configured externally, like which servers you're going to hit, which cluster you belong to, there's millions of different things that you could have. But what the ability to have this defined in configuration does for us is it makes it so that we can have a drink of water before I say any more because my mouth is dry, and have only two files that we use for deployment. Right? We have a package.json and we have a config.js. So we have no central app. Everything is distributed into NPM. I hate saying NPM modules. It sounds redundant, but everything is separated into these separate plugins. So that perfectly handles the distributed team problem, and it also makes for super quick deployments. It makes for like creating. If we're doing testing internally and we need to create any VMs, we can create them with any plugins that we want, test specific configurations for them, test specific plugins, and it really, really is rad. It's something that when I have never had luck with gems or eggs, and Maven is the spawn of yeah. Okay, but that's like having our plugin architecture completely rely on NPM is rad, and it's something that helps with that deployment side. Now, okay, come on back, buddy. It's okay. There we go. All right, let's go. So that's basically the Hapi plugin architecture. Now anybody that would like to try out Hapi, doesn't have to be for enterprise, doesn't even have to be the plugin architecture. Grab me anytime while we're here. And Walmart is always hiring, so there's plenty of recs out for Node devs right now. So if you're interested, give me a call and join us. But so yeah, that's been 20 happy minutes. I'm Ben Acker, and yeah, give us a holler. Thanks, guys.